One of the main reasons why California and New York failed to legalize marijuana successfully is that they imposed high taxes and heavy regulation on legal marijuana sales, making it hard for licensed dispensaries to compete with the illicit market in both states. In California, legal marijuana businesses face a complex and daunting tax system that includes a cultivation tax, a retail excise tax, a general sales tax, and local taxes. According to a report by Reason Foundation, the effective tax rate on marijuana in California ranges from $42 to $92 per ounce, depending on the jurisdiction, compared to an estimated wholesale production cost of $35 per ounce. This means that legal marijuana can be more than twice as expensive as black market marijuana, which discourages consumers from switching to the legal market. In addition to taxes, legal marijuana businesses in California also have to comply with strict regulations that increase their costs and reduce their profitability. These regulations include licensing fees, testing requirements, packaging standards, environmental rules, and security measures. Moreover, many local governments in California have banned or restricted marijuana businesses from operating in their jurisdictions, limiting the availability and accessibility of legal marijuana for consumers. The situation is similar in New York, where legal marijuana sales have been slow to take off since the state legalized recreational use in 2021. According to the Wall Street Journal, only 5 shops sell marijuana legally in New York City as of April 2023, while 1,400 bodegas, smoke shops, and other outlets without licenses do. The reason for this disparity is that New York has imposed high taxes and heavy regulation on legal marijuana sales as well. In New York, legal marijuana businesses have to pay a 13% sales tax, 9% state, and 4% local, plus an excise tax based on the THC content of the product, ranging from 0.5 cents to 3 cents per milligram. The state also allows local governments to impose additional taxes on growers, manufacturers, distributors, and retailers. Furthermore, legal marijuana businesses in New York have to comply with regulations that cover licensing fees, testing requirements, packaging standards, social equity goals, and labor agreements. These high taxes and heavy regulation on legal marijuana sales have created a huge price gap between the legal and illicit markets in both California and New York. According to the Wall Street Journal, legal marijuana can cost up to $70 per eighth of an ounce in California and New York, while black market marijuana can cost as little as $25 per eighth of an ounce. This price gap makes it hard for licensed dispensaries to attract and retain customers who can easily find cheaper and more convenient alternatives in the illicit market. As a result of these policy failures, California and New York have not been able to achieve the main goals of marijuana legalization, eliminating the black market, generating tax revenue, creating jobs, and ensuring product safety and quality. Instead, they have created a situation where the illicit market is thriving, the legal market is struggling, and consumers are exposed to potential health risks and legal consequences. One of the main reasons why California and New York have failed to legalize marijuana is the slow and inefficient rollout of dispensary licenses. This has created a situation where the legal supply of marijuana is far below the demand, leaving a huge gap that is filled by unlicensed and illegal sellers. According to the Wall Street Journal, the total of unlicensed sales in California last year was $8.1 billion, which dwarfs the $5.4 billion of legal sales. In New York, 2 years after legalizing cannabis possession, only 6 shops sell legally in New York City, while 1,400 bodegas, smoke shops, and other outlets without licenses do. The slow rollout of dispensary licenses is partly due to the complex and bureaucratic process of applying for and obtaining a license from the state regulators. In New York, for example, nearly 20 months after legalizing recreational marijuana, consumers still have no legal way to obtain it. The Office of Cannabis Management, OCM, which had received applications from 903 would-be marijuana merchants, released a list of 36 contenders who had received provisional conditional licenses. But these applicants still have to complete a secondary supplemental application and notify the appropriate municipality before they can start operations. Another factor that contributes to the slow rollout of dispensary licenses is the resistance or indifference of some local governments and law enforcement agencies. In California, many cities and counties have banned or restricted cannabis retailing within their jurisdictions, limiting the number of legal outlets available for consumers. In New York, police and prosecutors have given little priority to stopping illegal pot sales, focusing on more pressing problems such as violent crime. The slow rollout of dispensary licenses has several negative consequences for the state, the industry, and the consumers. First, it deprives the state of tax revenue that could be used for public services and social equity programs. Second, it undermines the legal industry that has invested time and money to comply with the state regulations and compete with the illegal market. Third, it exposes consumers to potential health and safety risks from untested and unregulated products sold by unlicensed sellers. Therefore, it is imperative that California and New York speed up the process of issuing dispensary licenses and create a more accessible and competitive legal market for marijuana. This would benefit not only the state coffers and the legal businesses, but also the consumers who deserve a safe and reliable source of cannabis. One of the main reasons why California and New York have failed to legalize marijuana is the low enforcement and lack of priority by police and prosecutors to crack down on the illegal pot business. Despite the legalization of medical and recreational cannabis in these states, hundreds of unlicensed dispensaries and farms continue to operate in plain sight, often with the help of organized crime and shell companies. These illicit operators not only evade taxes and regulations, but also pose a threat to public safety and health, as well as to the environment. In California, the problem stems from a series of compromises and loopholes that were made to win political support for Proposition 64, the 2016 initiative that legalized cannabis. One of these concessions was to allow cities and counties to ban pot businesses in their jurisdictions, which resulted in only a fraction of the predicted number of licensed dispensaries operating. According to a report by the Los Angeles Times, more than 80% of California's municipalities have prohibited cannabis sales, creating a patchwork of legal and illegal markets across the state. Another issue was the lack of oversight and enforcement by state and local authorities, who were overwhelmed by the sheer number of illegal operators and lacked the resources and tools to shut them down. For example, in Los Angeles, where an estimated 75% of the dispensaries are unlawful, police raids are often ineffective and futile, as many shops reopen within days or weeks after being shut down. Moreover, some police officers and prosecutors have shown little interest or incentive to pursue low-level marijuana cases, especially after Proposition 64 reduced the penalties for most cannabis offenses. A similar situation exists in New York, where a 2019 law decriminalized the possession of small amounts of marijuana and expunged many past convictions. However, the law did not legalize the sale or production of cannabis, leaving a huge gap between supply and demand. As a result, many people still rely on the black market to obtain pot, which is often cheaper and more accessible than the legal medical marijuana program. According to a report by Politico, New York City has more than 200 illegal delivery services that operate openly online, with little fear of prosecution. The low enforcement and lack of priority by police and prosecutors have allowed the illegal pot business to thrive in the face of state legalization. This has undermined the goals and benefits of legalization, such as generating tax revenue, creating jobs, ensuring product quality and safety, reducing racial disparities in arrests, and eliminating criminal organizations. To address this challenge, both California and New York need to reform their laws and regulations, increase their enforcement capacity and coordination, and provide more incentives and opportunities for illegal operators to transition into the legal market.